Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Fanciullo, and together with Emilia Costa, we analyze New York City restaurant inspection data from 2022 through to 2025 to better understand patterns in critical food safety violation across the city. Restaurant inspections play an important role in protecting the public health, but the large volume of inspection data can make it difficult to identify meaningful patterns. Before discussing our findings, I'd like to briefly identify the audience for the analysis. This project is intended for New York City residents and visitors who want to make informed decisions about where they eat. Many people see restaurant inspection grades posted in the restaurant windows, but they may not always understand the broader patterns behind those grades. Our analysis is also relevant for restaurant owners and managers who can use recurring violation trends to identify areas for improvement. In addition, public health officials can use this information to monitor food safety patterns and identify neighborhoods that may require additional oversights. By making inspection data easier to understand, we hope to help people make safer and more informed decisions. Our first analysis compares critical violation with critical violation per location among the top restaurant chain between 2022 and 2025. We selected 2022 to through 2025 period because it provides for complete years of inspection data, allowing us to identify recurring patterns rather than focusing on short-term fluctuation in a single year. Looking at the top chart, the King recorded the highest total number of critical violations during the study period, followed by Subway and McDonald's. At the first glance, this might suggest that these chains have the greatest food safety concern. However, one limitation of total counts is that larger chains operate more and more locations. If a chain has hundreds of restaurants, it naturally has more opportunity to accumulate violation than a smaller chain. To address this issue, we create the second chart, which measures critical violation per location. This allows us to compare chain more fairly. Once we adjust the chain size, the ranking changes significantly. Golden Cross Caribbean Bakery and Kentucky Fried Chicken move to the top of the list, while some larger chains move to lower in the rankings. The comparison is important because it demonstrates how different measures can lead to different conclusions. Total violation tell us overall volume, while violation per location provide a better understanding of average experience at the individual restaurant's location. One of the key lessons from this analysis is that total counts alone do not tell complete stories. Next, we want to understand where critical violations are concerned across New York City. This map displays critical violation by zip code. Both sides represent the number of critical violation, while the color scale represents the average inspection score. By combining these two measures, we can identify not only where violations are occurring the most frequently, but also where expectation score tend to be higher or lower. One of the most important findings is that violations are not evenly distributed through the city. Several zip codes, particularly in Manhattan and Brooklyn, show notably higher concentration of critical violation compared with surrounding areas. This suggests that food safety challenges might be concentrated within the specific neighborhoods rather than being spread evenly across the New York City. The map also demonstrates the value of adding a geographic perspective to restaurant inspection data. While chain level analysis help us to to understand which restaurant accumulate violation. The map help us to understand where those issues are occurring. Finally, we combine our finding into a dashboard that brings all together of our key visualization in one single view. The dashboard allows the user to compare restaurant chains, location judged violation rates, and geographic hotspot at the same time. Looking across all three visualization, a consistent pattern emerge. A relatively small number of restaurant chains and the zip codes account for a disproportionate share of critical violation across New York City. The dashboard provides a more complete understanding of food safety patterns than any individual chart alone because it combines multiple perspectives in one integrated view. At this point, I will hand the presentation over to Emilia, who will discuss the remaining findings and conclusion for our analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. I'm Emilia Costa, and I will be walking you through the remaining findings from our analysis. This line chart tracks critical violations by borough on a quarterly basis from 2022 to 2025. The first thing that stands out is that Manhattan consistently leads all other boroughs throughout the entire period, which aligns with what we saw in the hotspot map. Brooklyn and Queens fall in the middle tier, while the Bronx and Staten Island remain comparatively low across all quarters. What is equally important is the overall direction of these lines. Every borough trends upward over the 4-year period, with some seasonal fluctuations along the way. This tells us that the rising critical violations are not isolated to one part of the city, it is a citywide pattern. Whether this reflects stricter enforcement, more inspections being conducted, or genuine declines in compliance is an important question for further investigation. Next, we look at which cuisine types are associated with the most critical violations across New York City. American cuisine ranks first by a significant margin, with Chinese cuisine in second place, both well ahead of the remaining 8 categories. However, it is important to interpret these numbers carefully. American and Chinese restaurants are among the most numerous in the city, so higher total counts may simply reflect greater restaurant volume rather than worse compliance on a per location basis. The color of each bar adds another dimension to the story. Darker bars indicate higher cumulative inspection scores, meaning worse overall performance. You can see variation in the color across the top 10, which suggests that some cuisines not only have high violation counts, but also tend to score worse on inspections overall. This combination, high volume and high scores, is where health officials may want to focus additional attention. Our final visualization looks at how inspection scores are distributed across all 5 boroughs. The pattern here is clear and consistent. Grade A dominates in every borough, regardless of whether we are looking at Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, or Staten Island. The vast majority of restaurant inspections result in a passing grade. Grades B and C represent a small fraction of total inspections in every borough. At first glance, this might seem reassuring, but when we place the finding alongside the rising violations trend we saw in the previous charts, a more nuanced picture emerges. Restaurants can accumulate critical violations and still earn a grade A if they correct issues on the spot or score below the threshold during reinspection. So, the grade on the window doesn't always capture the full story of what's happening in the kitchen. So, what does this mean for all of you? If you're a resident or a visitor, we encourage you to look beyond the letter grade. Understanding which neighborhoods and cuisine types have higher violation concentrations can help you make more informed decisions about where you choose to eat. If you're a restaurant owner or manager, the data shows that critical violations are rising citywide and are concentrated in specific cuisine categories. Using recurring patterns in this data to identify and address compliance issues proactively before an inspector does is a real opportunity for improvement. And if you're a public health official, our analysis points to clear geographic hotspots in Manhattan and Brooklyn, as well as specific chains and cuisine types with disproportionately high per location violation rates. Targeted oversight in these areas is likely to have the greatest impact on citywide food safety. Thank you all for your time. We hope this analysis helps make New York City restaurant inspection data more accessible and actionable for everybody.